talking about solutions to actually improve how quality data collection can happen. So we can see it as two ways. One, if we are using pen and paper, then how do we improve or strengthen the existing methods of data collection? And the second, that we urge everyone or all organizations working in the development sector is to start using mobile-based data collection tools. So let's jump right in. The first thing to do when you start building an MEL platform, or if you want to strengthen your data collection, is to assign unique IDs to each beneficiary. Now, why it's important is because a lot of times when you're working, in our example of digital infrastructure, if you're working with 10,000 different students, and from previous examples that we saw, one student needs to be tracked over time. Or you can avoid interference with saying that, I have two people with the same name, or in this case, you might have everyone of the same age. So really to distinguish and to kind of have each person or each beneficiary in your program tracked over time. So we will also be able to use this quantitative data to see which of these students are not reachable over time, which students are actually showing trends of improvement, which students need more engagement, or you could even apply this to the teachers that are part of your program. Again, we need to look at the long-term use of our data. So if you're collecting data over time and maybe you want to do a study 3 years down the line as to what have been the impacts of your program with earlier participants or beneficiaries, this process really helps. Not to say that, if you assign unique IDs, you'll be able to, you won't have problems of, people dropping out, or problems of not reaching beneficiaries or respondents, but it really helps us to set in place a system to track different kinds of participants and beneficiaries over time. So that's number one, that a process that you need to put in place for any kind of data collection. The next thing is, if you are using pen and paper, then you should have research supervisors who check every form and who are trained to just undertake, undertake this function where you have certain, data points that you need them to check. For example, you need to ensure, you could train them to ensure that learning outcome tests are being appropriately done and you're getting the right data. Also, good practice is to have 30% of the checks randomly done by field monitors, and at least 10% by the project managers who, go into the field. But they should be going and checking how data is being collected, how are researchers or enumerators talking to participants. So it's important to not just check the forms that are being filled, but also how interviews are being undertaken or surveys are being undertaken. The next thing is, definitely, please do this for all or have this as a process for your data collection, is to have templates for field notes. So, you might have a survey, but if you want to talk, if you want a little more qualitative information, like, okay, how did the principal respond on that particular day that you visited? What was, how was the environment? Were students excited? So it's very important to keep taking field notes in addition to just undertaking surveys. We'll also find another purpose of field notes when we start data cleaning, which we'll come to in a few minutes. The next thing should be, we should also try and give different data collectors each other's forms. So to see, if to either learn from each other and also maybe kind of point out the, the issues that are cropping up, or how improvements can be made in data collection, as well as cross-checking your data. The next thing is, you need online tracking sheets. So we have a practice at our organization where the day or within 2 days of going to the field, there are Excel or Google Sheets set up where you need to kind of input your data. What then happens is, from our end, sitting in our Bombay office, we start looking at what are the trends that are saying, what kind of data is coming in well, how is the qualitative data and notes coming in. So, having these online tracking spreadsheets rather than waiting for the end when you've collected data from 500 people, I think these regular check-ins and regular data updates is very important. And that's my next point about have real-time data entry. Don't wait to collect all the data and then start doing data entry. Do regular, have breaks between your field research or your data collection processes, and have keep inputting the data that you're collecting, because you can also then give feedback to the data collection team that we need more information on this. This information is not what we were looking for, etc. And just some simple things which really help your process would, supervisors to use black pens, so you know that okay, that's the first kind of step of data checks. Monitors to use green pens and project managers to use red pens. So you can actually see the kind of inputs you're getting from different stakeholders or data checkers. So this was all about, if you're using pen and paper, what kind of small actions and steps can you take to improve data collection. The next slide is about using mobile-based data collection tools, and it talks about all the different things that you can do and the advantages of this. So the first is, and I'll show you a picture, but you can really collect good images, audios, videos, signatures. You can scan QR codes as to this village is done. So in this whole media capturing piece, you can actually have if you're taking a survey of a particular school or of a particular person, you can actually capture media. Or if you're doing a school profiling, that okay, what is the wash facilities, or how many computers are there, are they clean, are they being used, you can actually just have images which support that particular school's form. So it really adds value to the data when you start looking at it like that. Next is you can actually have real-time checks. So you can put in these triggers. So say for example, you're talking to students between 12 to 14 years of age. And if someone writes 17, then automatically there would be a trigger generated to say, okay, this is not the respondent that I was looking at. Or you can also have that, we are looking at the number of computers, and if you say there are 100 computers, then again it should put a trigger that maybe they're talking about 10 computers. So you can actually have very good data checks when you use technology platforms. You can actually capture GPS locations. Now we've seen many times, unfortunately, that a lot of data collectors, sometimes have the temptation to just fill in forms. So now when you start using GPS trackers, and what you can do is you can actually from these systems take out and say, okay, our schools were at these different locations. These are the number of people we have spoken to in these different villages. And actually kind of come up with, geographic trends as to what data is being showcased in village X in Gujarat or village Y in Rajasthan. And it's excellent to, have visual representation of your data through these tools. Also, you will be able to definitely, have live dashboards. So say you have a system like what we were talking about before, regular data entry. Now with this, clean data is available right away. So what you can do is log on to the platform you're using, for example, Survey CTO. So as soon as you fill in the form and you deploy it on the web, it goes to the cloud. You can actually then download all the data that's been collected and quickly look at, the trends, what kind of field activities have happened, where are there major issues with data collection, etc. So you can really get real-time data when you use these data collection tools with much lesser efforts. You don't need to sit and do data entry for in this context. Finally, I think this is something that to ensure the way questions are asked and if ethics are being maintained, or if there are certain very crucial questions, for example, if we want to know the challenges teachers are facing, and it's very crucial that the question is asked well so that teachers open up and talk. What you can do is you can put a trigger in your survey that whenever this question is asked, an audio audit should be done. So that question and answer for so many minutes will be recorded. So you can actually use them as, of course, testimonials, but at the same time, you can actually test how well your data collection is happening on the ground. So after telling you a few, these are really very, very few features of, a host of things you can do with digital data collection tools. But just to show you an example here, so this is the same pond for a water harvesting project, and they've done a before-after picture. They have these signatures. So for each consent form, you can have signatures. This is about a quality check that if the value is coming up too frequently, if it's below 2 years or more than 20 years, you need to give me an SMS. So there are a lot of quality checks and audio and video captures that you can do through digital data collection tools. So a few of them that maybe all of you should look at is for digital data collection is, like I mentioned, Survey CTO, Track Your Metrics, Magpie, Google Forms, also SurveyMonkey, Open Data Kit. So quite a few, and now there are a bunch of tools available, but looking at the resources you have at hand, the purpose, the kind of teams you're working with, it's good to explore some of these. You can also create dashboards, and data management can be done through Google Data Studio, SPSS Data has that, Zoho reports, Tableau, Airtable. So I think the best thing to do is, and all of these have versions where you can really just explore, and free versions. So I would suggest take some of your data and try and see how you could use these different online tools. Before, when you're choosing your dashboards, I think what is very important is that your dashboards, the ones you choose, these tools, should be easy to use, because it's not just you, there'll be multiple people in your organization using it. You should have some trials and free versions to see what you're comfortable with. It should have definitely better visualization. Features should be both cloud-based and desktop-based. You should look at data security of these tools. It's very crucial, very key. Also, when you are selecting a dashboard, do ensure that you have constant support and local support. Now, in a few of these, since they're international, to get in touch with someone who can help you troubleshoot or actually find some solutions to the problems you're facing is important. You need real-time troubleshooting assistance. And of course, the pricing, see what makes most sense for your organization. And if you're just starting out, maybe it's not the smartest thing to, invest too much. I think we are going to talk a lot about data cleaning, but I think you should ensure that you have unique data points coming in, you have correct column and field types, remove all the extra spaces in your Excel, use maximum close-ended questions for your dashboard so that it's easier to visualize more quantitative information. And of course, assign unique IDs, because you'll need that to track over time. So not going to be spending too much time on data cleaning here. We're going to do that in the next module. But I think, and this very well brings us into the next module of data analysis and data cleaning. So would like to hear from you what kind of tools you're using currently, what inhibits you from using them, and look forward to the next session on data analysis.